a learning hat. So everybody has to reach under their chair and pick up their learning hat and put it on. Make sure it's sitting nice and snug and fantastic. Okay. So what that learning hat should hopefully enable you to do is what we're wanting you to do is look at everything we do tonight with a beginner's mind.
The light needs on for videoing purposes. It's very dark. I know it's easy.
Oh, okay, that's fine. And so what we're thinking by a beginner's mind is something free of any preconceptions about how things should be. And basically when you're a beginner, you don't know enough yet to be confused. So your mind is empty and free and excited, and I think if you had to sum it up in one word, it would be curious. So be curious about what you're going to see tonight, and yes, everything I say and everything we go through, I'd like you to try it on like a jacket. If you like it, if it fits, if it seems right, if it seems to help in terms of your interactions with other students, then use it. And if not, well, then there's lots of other things which might work and fit for you. Part of the reason that everything is so flexible is because generally we're working in one-on-one type environments. And a lot of what you'll see would be useful in a broader context, but the biggest thing that you get out of the small groups is complete flexibility. So, let's begin. Okay. Steps Academic Coaching. We've been around for about 5 years, and we thought long and hard to come up with a name for the company, and the name actually came from a lot of what we stand for. And we put it all together. And so academic coaching. When I was in high school, a very influential maths teacher who took me from standard 8 to matric, Mr. Anthony Reeler, he was also the first team rugby coach. And so he got to see students both on the sports field and in the classroom. And so he took both the first set maths and the first set rugby team, and so he, the best at both. And he would often make a remark which really stuck with me. And what he said was, you guys put your bodies on the line when you're in the context of a rugby match. You're trying all out until the final whistle goes. You're really giving it your all. But often when you get into an exam type context, you're not trying as hard. You're not giving your all. And so the concept of academic coaching came from the idea that most people can probably, at some way, identify with what's required to do well in the sport. So I'd like to talk about the Olympics for a little while. Now, what are some of the sports which you guys have enjoyed most watching in the Olympics?
Relay.
Pardon?
Relay.
Relay. Okay. So I want at least 10.
Gymnastics.
Gymnastics. Fantastic. Okay. Athletics. Okay. 100 meters. Okay. Fantastic. Yes. More?
Synchronized diving.
Synchronized diving. Okay. Synchronized swimming. That's about 5.
I don't know what it was called. It's that underwater dance.
Oh yes, the synchronized. Well,
I
yeah, I
think
think the
it's
synchronized swimming.
acrobatics or
Yes.
something like that.
Okay. Has everybody got welfare TV? Did nobody watch any Olympics? Come on, there's hundreds of sports. What did you guys enjoy? I didn't watch it. You didn't watch it?
No.
Nobody likes sport.
After
Cycling.
fireworks, I was
Cycling.
Cycling. Okay, that's
Asynchronous.
6. That's 6.
Asynchronous cycling.
Is this exciting?
No.
He's now.
See, this is the standoff where you eventually realize that I'm not going to go on until I get at least 10 things, and then you get over your embarrassment and you actually just throw in a few sports you just know happen to be in the Olympics.
Surely it was swimming, yes.
Okay, it was swimming. Okay, it must be swimming.
Baseball, I
Okay.
saw baseball.
But no ways.
They did.
But there's only 3 countries which play
I
baseball.
know, so the Americans won again.
Okay. That's about 8.
Karate.
Karate. Okay, good.
Fencing.
Fencing, okay.
Ping pong.
Ping pong.
Javelin.
Table tennis. Okay,
Nice
now
one, nice
now
one.
we shot our mark. Really good. Some of the things which I enjoyed most was weightlifting. And in terms of the athletics, I love watching things like pole vault and and swimming and athletics and all that kind of thing. It's what was so fascinating for me is some of the weightlifting you're watching these guys, and they're like 55 kilograms, and they're lifting something like 150 kilograms, and there's just so much technique to it, you know, the way that they somehow get it up and then they go down, but you almost feel that they're going to like bend in two and break, but they somehow don't, and then they keep it up. So that was always that was very, very interesting. Okay, so now I want to throw out some words which you think might be associated with the people who did well, the people who managed to do well in the Olympics. What are some of the characteristics? What would they have had to do to get there? Some words associated. What do you associate? Training. Okay. Okay.
Dedication.
Dedication. Focus.
Perseverance.
Money.
Perseverance. Money.
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
Stay away.
Coaching.
Coaching.
Mathematics, no.
Mental preparation.
Mental preparation. Okay. More.
Qualification. How do you call it when you have to qualify for a living?
Okay.
Experience.
So there was some kind of
Then you have to.
trials that they had to
Yeah,
be
trials.
through. Yeah. Okay. So they had to prove that they were of a certain standard.
Yeah.
Okay. So training, dedication, focus, perseverance, money, sacrifice. Okay. Now, obviously, you know where I'm going with this. It's quite obvious, but so all of these people have coaches. What do you think? What are some of the words which you would associate with an Olympic coach? If we had to now make another list, and now we're thinking about an Olympic coach. What do you think is required to get success?
Goals.
Goals, okay. Pardon?
Dedication.
Dedication, okay. Now dedication to coaching or to your athlete or to
Yeah,
to
to
your athlete, to the athlete, yeah.
Program, a method.
A method, yeah.
Standards.
Standards,
A qualification.
qualification,
Communication.
Strategy.
Experience.
okay, experience. Experience in what? Experience in coaching or experience in the sport itself or
The sport itself.
in the sport, okay. So knowing about,
Well, both.
you know,
Yeah.
knowing the sport, knowing how to teach.
People skills. Or flexible people skills.
Now, I want you to now start directing these words towards the relationship between the coach and the athlete. What are some words which would describe the successful relationship?
Synergy.
We're going to say relationship. So synergy. Yes. Okay.
Proper communication.
Communication.
Respect.
Okay, respect. I suppose that comes from, that the people do what they say they're going to do, the coach asks the student or the athlete to do, 50 laps, and then they do 50 laps or whatever it is, and, okay, more?
Patience.
Patience, okay.
And perseverance.
Perseverance.
I suppose it's a coaching.
Common direction.
Common direction. Now maybe what that's hinting towards is the coach and the athlete have the same goal. They're both wanting, or they both can see the goal or whatever all the time as clearly, because they both moving in the same direction. Now, there's one word which hasn't come up here, which I think is very
Rapport.
important between this relationship.
Rapport.
Rapport, okay, yes, okay, so that and let's unpack that word a little bit. Okay, so rapport is just a kind of being in tune with each other, speaking the same kind of language, really a higher level of communication, I'd say, that they're in sync with each other. But there's one other word which, yes?
Trust.
Trust, okay, fantastic. That's also a big one. I'm surprised I didn't think of that myself now. But there's still one other thing. Something about this relationship between the coach.
Enthusiasm.
Okay, yes, it's a nice one. Okay, but everybody keeps popping up with other good ideas before I can build the suspension to enough to actually say, okay, now I'm just going to tell you no. Now let's paint the picture. Is that the coach will say to the student, okay, you do 4 100-meter sprints, but he's going to hold the athlete accountable. So the athlete has somebody to know whether he's done it or not. So it's a sense of accountability, which I think is very, very key to the relationship. Because otherwise, I think without that, the athlete could be out at the athletics track by themselves. But it's not quite the same where you're killing yourself and nobody's there to watch. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we've got some fantastic words on there. Let's go back to the athlete themselves already. Training, dedication, focus, perseverance, money, sacrifice, coaching, mental preparation, trials, reaching appropriate standard, goals, dedication. Now also between the coach and on the coaching side, okay, so goals, dedication, method, standards, qualification, experience. So I'm seeing a lot of structure here in terms of the kind of words which are coming out. There's a structure. And then in terms of the relationship, rapport, trust, enthusiasm, synergy, communication, respect, patience, perseverance, common direction. Okay, all very nice words and very, very nice things to aim towards. And okay, so yes, it doesn't even need saying, but these are all the kind of words which obviously translate quite well into a classroom, but also, just in terms of the kind of relationship which we're aiming for, and the kind of relationship where, which you will have with the students, I just think that this is such a fantastic metaphor. So, moving on. Okay, so I've talked about that. We've done that. So steps. Where did that come from? So, Amanda sitting in the back there was the joint founder of this with me, and I think steps was a concept which came more from her side. If the coaching and the academic coaching maybe came more from me, steps was something which was quite close to Amanda's heart. And the basic concept is, how do you get from where you are to where you want to be? Now, a lot of the people we might meet might be at 40% and they want to be at 70%. So how do you move from 40 to 70? And, well, the big question is, so you're going to get 45. The big thing is how you react to getting 45. Is 45 a failure or is 45 a success?
It's a success.
It's a success. Why? You've improved from where you were. And I think that is the thing that we try and drum home. Primarily, I think, to the parents of the people that we work with. Because they have a concept that they have a 60% child or student, and that's what they'd like them to be achieving. So to actually train everybody concerned that somebody gets 45%, that a fuss is made, yay! It's, you know, something's happened. We've achieved something good. And okay. So before we get started, I think in going through some of the details here, I've done a lot of thinking in terms of why am I interested in this? Because before I started the company itself, I was still involved with working with high school students for a couple of years, and so it's probably been about 7 years in total that I've worked with high school students. And I mean, I've got a professional job and I'm doing quite well, and I don't need to be doing this, but something keeps me here because I haven't uncovered something which is in there which I'm wanting to get out. And so, to me, the earliest memory comes back to this equation. What does that mean?
+2 is not equal to you.
Okay, so I was in sub A, grade 1, and this little equation nearly gave my sub A teacher a nervous breakdown because I couldn't get it. It didn't make sense to me. I remember a whole lesson where I think I was subjected to, you know, by force, in +2 is into, you know, when it's together, and I just didn't get it. And I don't know exactly what happened or what they tried, but it just didn't go through. And I remember it being quite traumatic, actually, you know, but, you know, so, anyway, so I struggled to learn to read. And then it came to a point where they let me through into sub B, into grade 2, but I needed to be held back. And so I repeated grade 2, sub B. And, you know, so I was very, very close to being sent to a special school because I couldn't read. They thought I had dyslexia, all these kind of things. And so I was really on the outside of the school system. Nobody really kind of, anyway. And then the refrain. The second time around, when I fought and kicked and screamed to keep staying at my normal school, and I've got to find my second sub B teacher second time around grade 2, but I can remember being introduced to the class. And I was there as a helper. I was there because I knew how to do everything, and I was there to help with everybody and to show them how to do things. And it sounds corny, but somehow it was done in a way where I really felt it, and it felt real, and it felt good, and it felt that, this really was why I was there. And somehow, something clicked that instead of feeling that I'm slow and not getting this stuff, I felt that I should be kind of the fastest. That with any exercise, I should get it first. Do you want to try and close that door? Don't let anybody else come through on this side. So when we had maths examples and things, and I remember in those days, all my memories relate back to the maths, because the class used to have to sit in the front on the mat and do exercises together. And so I remember an exercise where we were doing arithmetic, out loud, and we had to do sequences or something like that. And I kept thinking, no, I'm going to be first, I'm going to be first. And I was amazed that I was second. and so I really tried. And I can remember who beat me. It was Michael Summerton. He ended up being the head boy. But anyway, that was, but I really tried. And something turned around, and I started doing better. And by standard 2, I was third in the class. But it was, there was a first set, and then there were the other two, so I was in the other two, so I was kind of, but I started to gain momentum, and somehow I started to believe that I could, because I'd come from this brink of not even supposed to be being at the school anymore, and I started to get the hang of things and into the swing of things, and then off it went, and I was really started to believe in my own capability. And by the end of high school, I was 6th in the standard, and I know that I was used as an example by our principal for anybody, any parent they had to speak to in terms of potentially keeping people back, because I was the example about how it could turn out right. Anyway, so these are some of the reasons why I got.
Can you just comment on our check marks? And I think you just glossed over some hectic achievements.
I think I'm going to give the second half of the story a little later on. Up to now, we'll leave it at junior school, because there's some other significant milestones which happened again later to reaffirm my interest in learning and teaching. So, this is the student when we get there, and they want to get from where they are to somewhere else. Okay. Now, if we're really lucky, they want to go somewhere specific. Okay, to somewhere specific. Now, what I've contrasted here is you can not want to be somewhere, you can be failing, and you can want to pass. But that's not necessarily going to push you in any specific direction. It's just going to put you away from failing, which can be, if you think about it as a circle and you're going in a direction, you can get any direction which is not where you are. So one thing what I find very powerful is if you can find what that specific direction is that you're wanting to go, and that can generate a lot of energy, and that's what we wanted to do. We'll talk about that along the way. So you might have a very nice direction you're wanting to go in, and you might have a lot of motivation and excitement to get there, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's just going to be easy. So you might have some challenges in the way along to getting there. So in terms of cultivating this energy to go in this direction, you'll see throughout the evening we're all asking questions. There's lots of questions, and to me questions are kind of the start of getting an answer. And you don't have to fixate on the answer, but on getting an answer tangibly now, but asking the question is sometimes enough. So it's just to start to become aware of some concepts. So why do you want to do well? And why are you even studying something? To ask yourself these questions again and again, and just notice when the answers start coming. And we're going to talk about this as your values or identity in terms of that driving force behind why you're wanting to do well. And then, when we encounter that wall, that confusion, that frustration, the question I'm most interested in is, what do you say when you get confused? And that's going to come down to what you believe about what you're encountering. Okay, so this is an introduction to where we're going, and now we're going to get into a little bit more detail of each of these concepts. And we're going to get you all involved and do some exercises. So, I'm now going to hand out the short questionnaire. And we've got pens, and that on that side. And we know. So let's get some of the subjects which people don't like. Okay, I'll go first off the cards. I really struggled with off the cards. I didn't like it. What else? What do you guys struggle with? Okay, what else? Now, some of these things, I suppose, they are quite personal, and some of these answers, they're just kind of the beginnings of answers, because the real answers you only really get to, especially in terms of really understanding yourself once you've asked these questions many, many times and really thought about it many, many times in great depth. So I'll read out some of the things that I got. Okay, how important was this subject or activity in the bigger scheme of my life? Well, not very. I didn't see the point really, and South Africa was the only country it was spoken in. I expected to travel a lot and be more global, and so Afrikaans didn't seem that interesting to me. What happened if I do well? Well, not very much. I just get an extra symbol on my report card. So if I was purely motivated by just getting those symbols, then that would have been good enough. But there didn't seem to be anything below that. What does doing well or badly in the subject say about me, the person? Well, not a lot, just that I'm not very good at Afrikaans. I can take it personally. Okay, fine, so I'm not good at it. That's okay. Now, what was interesting to me is when I started to ask myself the questions about things that I liked, the whole mood changed, the whole feeling of what you're asking. It felt different to me. I don't know. We're going to get some feedback just now. Just don't think we've got out of it yet. So, for me, maths and physics. I love maths and I love physics. And this was very important to me. Why? Because you know, I potentially wanted to be an engineer, and you know, that was about physics and stuff like that, and solving problems, and so this was who I was going to be. It was something very important, and so, you know, failure was not an option. No, it was like, you know, getting the top mark was the most important thing, because I wanted to be the best engineer that I could be. And what happens if I do well? Well, you know, give myself every opportunity I can succeed in my career that I want to do. And yeah, so that's me, okay, but and I've thought about this a lot, but just give me some feeling, what did you notice? Or maybe just at the higher level, what did you notice between the two sections? Yes, you.
With me, I find that the stuff that I'm good at, I see as being more important in my life.
Yes.
I just, when I ask myself, how important is this? The good things are like, yes, this is very important, and the bad stuff's like, it's okay, but it's not that important.
Fantastic. What a nice observation. Anybody else notice that? Yes.
I have more interest in the subject.
You have more interest in the subject that you do well.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. What subject was that?
Geography.
Geography. Fantastic. And yes?
There's more hope.
There's more hope. with in what context?
There's more hope of success and of results if you make an effort.
Yes. Okay,
Or
so you feel that it's a system, you put in effort, you get out results. You understand that it's logical and you can work within that. Okay.
I saw that the one I'm good at, the one I'm bad at, could both be important, but if I'm good at one, it might be enough. I don't have to be good at both.
Okay. Okay, that's an interesting viewpoint, yes. So, okay, we're going to go on. And I think a lot of the value of what we're doing here is just starting to ask these questions. So now, perhaps when you become perhaps more aware of what you like and what you don't like, and also your attitudes to those subjects, and start noticing what they mean to you. Now, let's see what I wrote here. Okay, to me that's an onion. That these are questions you keep asking, you keep thinking about, and eventually you get through to something which actually approximates the truth of what you feel about something. Okay. Now this came from me in grade 9, in standard 7 I think I was, and it was actually at a school guidance counselor. Can you believe it? They did something good. They got something right, and at that stage, I think it was maybe even with standard 8 or 9, I don't know, but I remember specifically at that point that I used to put a lot of effort in, but I used to get 77 or something like that. I never quite got to an A. But the guy looked at this report and he says, look, you go for those A's, because if you get an A for maths and you get an A for science, you can do anything. Now at that point, you know, anything meant, okay, I can be an astronaut, or I can be like whatever, you know, but I kind of took it quite literally. I could do anything, and all I had to do was get an A for maths and an A for science. Really was I quite motivated to get an A for maths and an A for science. And you know what, it's kind of true in a way, you know, it's in terms of what you're wanting to study at university or something like that, you know. So, so for me, my core motivator was choice. If I peel back all the layers, and somebody had to say to me, okay, you can, because I was one of the people who really struggled to find out what I wanted to do. Yes, you know, I knew that potentially I wanted to do engineering, so maths and science would be important, you know, but maybe I wanted to do medicine, maybe I wanted to do architecture, I didn't know. And so But to me, the worst possible situation ever would be to finally make up my mind about what I wanted to do and then not be able to do it because I didn't have the marks. And so that was the most important thing to me. And over the period of a couple of months now, I've been thinking about these questions, and I've interviewed a lot of the people who work for me, and a lot of them are writing tests tonight. But some of them have been lucky enough to know what they wanted to do for a long time. They were the people who knew what they wanted to do. And for instance, some people, one girl wanted to do business. And so you ask her, why did she want to do well at maths? Well, because it's part of business. I'm going to do business, therefore it's part of who I am. I'm going to be in business, I will need to do maths, I will need to keep doing maths because it's going to be part of my life. Might as well get to learn it now because it's not going to go away. So this I find is almost the second core motivator in terms of the people that I've spoken to. Maybe it's one of these two. And in the end, it's all about your identity because you just want to make sure choice is there because you haven't found your identity yet or you don't know what you want to do yet. Well, that's the way I take it. But yeah, so I want to kind of invite you to really get to know yourself and to ask yourself these questions and to try and figure out why do you actually want to do well? And try and figure out, have you made a connection? Have you made a connection between doing well at maths or science or your degree and the subject and the effort that you're putting in, or not? You know? And notice the subjects that you don't care about, that you are not motivated for. I bet you they're non-core subjects of your degree. And they're just an irritation in terms of time, and they're taking, and so you don't do well at them sometimes. And yeah, so, but ask your own questions, think about these things, and okay. So this is the next big section, and after this section we're going to have a break with muffins and coffee and all things good like that. Okay, so the previous section is about the force, the wind, which pulls you along towards what you want to do, towards that concept of you know, this is who I am, I want to do well. Okay, now it's still hard. Okay, so we still get stuck. Okay, so, and when we get stuck, what do we do? What do we say? Okay. Questionnaire. Yes. So, next one. Pass this all around. And soon after this, as I said, we'll be having a break. Thank you. We're going to carry on and start discussing what would anybody like to give me an observation? Anything they notice about the process?
Lots of energy right in the bottom part, no
Yes.
energy to write the top part.
So if I, you would have probably finished a lot quicker if we did we put the second half of the questions first. But we don't want to leave you in the negative state of thinking about all those bad things. But I think also what you notice is the change in energy in terms of as you start now thinking of these answers, because it's just so difficult to sometimes even just write a few lines about some of the things you're struggling with. Okay, give me one or two examples. Yes, Rika.
I found with two that I wanted to figure it out for myself. With the first one, I'd rather go and ask someone. The one that I don't like, just go and ask someone, take the easy way.
Yes, yes.
Like with the second one, I want to figure it out myself.
You want to do it?
Find the answer.
Okay. So there's maybe a point of pride in actually just
getting it.
Getting the effort there. Okay. Very nice. And okay, so what I'm interested in, and I want to get at least 3 more opinions. And what I'm interested most in is that very last question.